Welcome back, besties. It is that time of the year for me to be doing the mid-year book freakout. Also, I am repping the Water Tribe today.
Hey, I got my eye on you.
Water Tribe.
I don't know what is it with 2025, but this year feels like it's moving at a snail's pace. 2024 was moving so fast that I was like, am I living? Am I alive? But this year is just bleh. I have changed some of the questions for this mid-year book freakout tag because I realized that I have free will and that some of these questions are a bit dated. So let's start with the first question, which is, how's your reading going? And I think my reading is going pretty well. If you were to ask me this question before I took a look at my Goodreads read list, I would probably be telling you that my reading is very shitty, but I'm looking on Goodreads and I set my goal for 100 books this year and I'm like 9 books ahead schedule. So yay me. Now let's get into the actual first question. What is the best book that I've read so far this year? So this is a toss-up between two books. If you were to ask me about like a month and a half ago, I would have to be telling you the best book that I read in 2025 would be An Offer from a Gentleman, which is the third book in the Bridgerton series, and this one is following Benedict's story. I love Benedict. I love Sophie. This is a Cinderella retelling. It just gave me all the feels, and this is one of those books that I sacrifice sleep to read it in one sitting. Like I stayed up till 2 a.m. in the morning reading this book because I liked it so much. I cannot wait for the 4th season of Bridgerton. Like I will be sat. I probably will be doing a reaction video to when that season drops because I just loved the book so much. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some very stereotypical like period stuff that happened in here that I didn't necessarily thought was okay, but overall the love story between Benedict and Sophie, A+. Like Shonda Rhimes, if you significantly change a story anyway, it's gonna be on site between you and me. But recently I read this book, which is This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead, which quickly raised the top of my favorites list of this year. And this one is kind of a controversial one to say that I liked it so much and that I give it 5 stars because it is heavily borrowing from the real world Idaho murder case, which people who are saying that that's unethical, they are right. But I think this book had more going on for it other than just borrowing from the Idaho murders, that I was able to put that aside. Or following Jane Sharp, who's at the very beginning of the book, her dad passes away and she is inconsolable. She's not able to grieve in a proper or healthy way. So she searches out any kind of information that she could find on her father to feel closer to her father, which leads her to finding this online like sleuth website, Armchair Detectives, where she builds a relationship with 5 or maybe 6 online personalities, where she gets then entrenched in solving the Idaho murder cases of these sorority girls that passed away. There are twists and turns. I feel like this book has a lot to say on armchair detectives and podcasters that is subtly done, but if you read in between the lines, you can get to where Ashley Winstead was trying to say. This book honestly redeemed Ashley Winstead for me because prior to this, the last Ashley Winstead book that I read was Midnight is the Darkest Hour, and that was Swamp Twilight hot garbage. Hated that book so much that I almost didn't put this one up, but I was like, let's give Miss Ashley Winstead a second chance. And I'm so glad I picked this one up and that I liked it so much. This was just like a fun read. I pretty much read it in one sitting. Now the next question is the best sequel that I read in 2025. And a lot of sequels that I read this year was just kind of meh. Like I read Alloy of Law, I read Summer Siege, and I gave both of those books 3 stars. So this one's kind of cheating for me because this book is a sequel, but I don't think it's a sequel in the way that you and I are probably thinking of sequels. And that would be Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is the 3rd book in whatever the series that she's calling it. And the reason why I love this book so much is because of the main male character, Jacob. He was such a sweet bean. He made this book. I also really liked his love interest, Brianna. They're both doctors. At the very beginning of the book, Brianna's like, I don't think I like him because he makes a comment to her that when taken on the wrong context could come off as rude. And Jacob has a lot of anxiety, so he is someone that likes to like plan out where he goes, what he says, because of his anxiety. And then when Brianna finds out, you know, what Jacob like really meant and this man's kind of like life story, she forgives him. Jacob, on his end, he recently broke up with his girlfriend, and then his girlfriend went on to be engaged or date his brother. And in order for his family to think that he's moved past it, that he's no longer in love with this woman, he tells his family that he has a girlfriend, which he does not, which enters Brianna pretending to be his girlfriend because Jacob is going to donate his kidney to Brianna's brother. But there's so much that goes into this book. Like I said, Jacob makes this book. I want this man in real life. I gave this book 4 stars only because in the last like 1/4 of this book, Brianna was pissing me off. She was pissing me right off. Like, Brianna, you found one of the good ones and you're gonna treat him the way that you did? Made me angry. And the next question is a newest release that I haven't read yet, but I want to. I feel like the obvious answer to this one is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Oil. Or is it Soil? It's Soil. This is V.E. Schwab's newest book. This, I hear, is a vampire sapphic book, and I am here for some sapphic vampires. I don't know anything about this book other than that. I did see when I got this book in the mail that this is a signed copy, and then I heard that V.E. Schwab signed all of the first edition copies of this book, which was upwards to like 700 books. I don't know how her hand didn't fall off, but I'm so glad to own this copy. And then I think my Bookish Box subscription that's coming is a special edition of this book, so I really hope I like this book then. And the next question is the biggest disappointment. And I have 2 answers for this one, and they're both new releases. One of them did come out earlier this year, and the other one came out and sometime end of last year, I think. So the first disappointment is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. I'm so sorry. I did not like the mystery, didn't really care for much of the characters. We're following Anna, who is a Sherlock Holmes type figure, and then her Watson, his name is Din, and it's set in this fantasy world. I don't think I've ever read a mystery book that's set in a fantasy world, but we're trying to solve the mystery of who killed this man. This man died by tree growth impalation through his body. I think the first year of this book I was like in it, I was understanding the fantasy type world, but once they left like the region that they were based off of, this book started introducing many fantasy characters that I just feel like I got lost in the sauce, and I really didn't care for the story after that. I did really like Anna because she was serving some badass bitchiness, and I did like Din and the other gay boy that he got into a relationship with. This book should be retitled to Anna and her gay boys and really stick to that kind of plot, because then I would have been in it 100%. I just felt like it dragged on a lot for me. I think it's 400 something pages and it just dragged. The second biggest disappointment is maybe sacrilegious, because I have been seeing people like this on YouTube, but I've also seen people not like this. And that book would be A Great Big Beautiful Life, which I am now henceforth calling The Great BBL. And that's so unfortunate that Emily Henry decided to write a book that could be nicknamed The Great BBL. We're following Alex and Hayden, and they are 2 authors that are vying for the role to write this one well-known society elite actress, I think she's an actress, her life story, and that woman's name is Margaret. And when I tell you, I don't give a shit about Margaret. Like, whatever Margaret, like, we would flash forward or flash backward in her chapters to get her life story and what happened to her in her past and growing up, I was like, I don't care about this old lady. I could not. It took me out of the story, and because the story dedicated a chunk of it to Margaret's life story, I feel like it came at a hindrance to Alice and Hayden's love story. It took me out. It really did. This book might be one that I might sell, and unfortunately for me, a lot of the new releases this year are just not landing. Now, the next question is biggest surprise. And for this one, I think it's gonna have to be Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. I went into this book with such low hopes. I think she's kind of like a newish author, and this is a dark romance, and I don't particularly, or sometimes I find dark romance to be quite problematic. And the plot synopsis of this book was like, a woman falls in love with her stalker, and right there I was like, red flags, red flags. So we have our MMC, and he is a guy that posts TikTok videos, or like thirst trap TikTok videos with him wearing like a ski mask, and apparently some women want to be banged by a masked man, and one of those women would be our FMC. She's thirsting over this man, and she's also a nurse, I think, and an ex-boyfriend of hers who we could say they were kind of like friends with benefits who've been broken up. She asks him to put a mask on and bugger. And he's like, I'm not into that actually. And the ex shows this text to our masked man TikToker, and he's like, oh, I didn't know she was like that. So he sneaks into her home and makes a TikTok video in her bedroom, another thirst trap. And that's kind of like where the relationship takes off. But it is giving a little bit of Dexter vibes from both the FMC and the MMC, because they both have a tendency to like want to kill people, but only the bad people. What I really liked about this book and what really made the book was the MMC. He was such a sweet cupcake to her. Like, he was the kindest to her. He cooked for her. He shoveled snow out of the driveway for her. Like, he was just such a sweetheart to her that I was so surprised. And I was surprised that this book was so funny for a dark romance. The next question is favorite new author, and I don't think I have an answer for this one. So I read a lot of books this year, but I don't think any of them are favorites. Did recently read Rebecca F. Kennedy book, Serpents of Sky and Flame, which is a dragon smut shapeshifter book that I really liked. And I read Blood and Steel by Helen Schuer. Don't know how to pronounce that name, which I thought was just okay, and I want to continue along with this series. I did finish the entire Salacious Players book by Sarah Kate. I think The Salacious Player with Starts with Praise was the first Sarah Kate book that I had ever read, and I really enjoyed that series. I also really liked Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. So I don't really have an answer for this one. It's kind of all over the place, but if I had to pick, maybe those three authors. The next question is newest favorite character, and I have to say, once again, it's gonna have to be Jacob from Yours Truly. What a sweet bean. Can Jacob be real in real life? Like, I know that I'm in my man-hater era, but if I ever found a man just like Jacob, I would be there. So the next question is a book that made you happy. And I think that's probably gonna have to be the Ashley Spencer book. I think it's called, let's see, Disney High, The Untold Story of the Rise and Fall of the Disney Empire. I do own that book. It's here somewhere. We're just gonna have to put the picture on the screen. And I think this made me happy because this book and what it was following, like That's So Raven, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, like those were all the shows that I watched during my formative years, and it gave you the behind the scenes tea on the celebrities, but also kind of like the business aspect of how these shows came to be. And it just gave me that nostalgia feeling that I really needed. The next question is a book that made you sad, and I do not have an answer for this one because books don't make me cry. Books do not make me boohoo cry. TV shows and movies don't even make me boohoo cry. So I'm sorry to say, don't have an answer for this one. The next question is favorite book adapted or will be adapted. The obvious answer for this one is Sunrise on the Reaping, which is technically considered the second book, like chronologically, in the Hunger Games series. This one is following Hamish's games. The last like 100 pages of this book is fucked up. It messed me up. It really, really did. Once you read this book, you will know why Hamish is such a drunk. I just feel like nothing good ever happened to Hamish. And it brought some like understanding or some light into like why he is the way that he is. I feel like this book might be everyone's answer to this question. And the next question is the most beautiful book that I have bought this year. I've bought a lot of beautiful books, but some of them are still on their way to me. But there's one that has arrived, and you might ask yourself, why did you buy that book, Lexi? You didn't like that book when you read it, but once you see the cover to this thing, you will understand. And that book is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. Yes, I didn't like this book. When I saw this special edition, I knew I had to have it because look at the cover of this thing, and it's foiled. Look at the sprayed edges with the ship there. So beautiful. And then if you take a look at the naked hardcover, that is where the beautifulness lies. So the naked hardcover is this like faux leather with this ship detail, and then the back is the same. And then it's really giving, the spine is like giving this leather. It feels like it belongs in a library, a like historical library. And then we have the end pages here. The art is just so beautiful. Also the back page, end page here, is different, which I really love when special editions go the extra mile. And then it also came with a pin. I have it somewhere. It also came with a bookmark, and then it also came, I wonder where it is. We're gonna need to censor this, but it came with an NSFW art print. Hands down, one of the most beautiful books that I have bought this year. And the next question is the worst book that I have read in 2025 so far. And the answer to that is, without a doubt, The Will of the Many. I read this book because it was influenced upon me. All of you bitches out there on YouTube put The Will of the Many on your best books of 2024 list. So I was like, oh, I should read that. That book is 700 pages long and it is boy fantasy. Do not come at me and tell me that it is not boy fantasy, because it is boy fantasy. The main character of the book is a man. There are hardly any female perspectives in that book. Like, there are females in the books and female heroines, but they play such a tiny, insignificant role that you could take those characters out and it would still be the same story. And their main character, his name is Viz, I think. He is a Mary Sue. He is a Mary Sue of the highest order. He can do no wrong. Any obstacle that he came across, solved. He is Superman. This book just pissed me off so much. And the world building, it's complex and it's there, but it's based on the Roman Empire. And James Islington really decided that he wanted to make us all think about the Roman Empire too much by writing this book. Like, I feel like he was trolling us with that plot line. Like, I literally hated this book so much, and the video that I read that book for, maybe I'll release it one day. I decided not to, because there was one book that I had to read for that video where the author has come out to be very controversial, or she caused some problems for herself, that I was like, I'm not gonna release this one. But now I could just take her out of that video. So you might get it at some point. And so you could really rant and feel the rage that came off of me when I read that book. Now, the last question is, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? And to that, so many. Like, right off the top of my head, I want to read Warriors of Wind and Ash, which is the second book in that Rebecca F. Kennedy dragon smut romance book. I want to finish, or start, I guess you could say, the Rose Hill series that begins with Wild Love. I want to finish reading the entirety of the Mistborn series, the last 3 books in that series, which is 4, 6, and 7, I think. I want to finish reading the Bridgerton series. I need to read Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. It's like the only new release that I bought this year that, like, I still haven't read. And I want to continue the Girl Meets Duke series. Like, there are just so many. But given that I'm in grad school and I work full time, I don't know if that's gonna be happening before the end of the year. But that is it. That is all that I have in store for this video. Please let me know if any of my answers were your answers. Please let me know if there's anything you want to see me read. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe, and I will see you in another video soon. Bye bye.